Hey guys, if you're shopping for knives and gear, make sure you check out the description of the video you're watching right now for links to some great online retailers. There's also individual links for knives that I personally recommend. Thanks!
What's going on YouTube? Metal Complex here, and today I've got a very interesting knife review / knife overview to share with you guys. This is the Spyderco Police 4 in G10 and K390. Apparently this knife was originally available sometime in 2017. I wasn't even aware of K390 steel until 2020. I thought K390 was just a brand new, right? It is a fairly new super steel, but I did not know that Spyderco had actually produced a knife, at least one. This one, maybe there were others and I'm just not aware. I did not know that this knife existed. I also have never handled the Spyderco Police 4 before. This thing is gigantic. Holy cow. Crazy. The Spyderco Police 4 is currently available right now, just in a different form. It's in a lightweight version. I'll link it right down below so you can check it out. You'll be able to find this guy in there as well. It's just out of stock. And then I'll also link Spyderco knives so you guys can check out what else they've got. K390 is serious stuff. I have a little keychain knife that's in K390, and I've been kind of testing it over the last 6 months. It is not a joke. That is some very serious steel. This knife was sent to me by Isaac. He's a Free State fellow down there in the comments section. He donated this knife to the channel along with another really nice fixed blade. That was exceptionally kind of you, Isaac. Thank you so much for doing that. Make sure and give him a thumbs up if you see him down there. Thanks so much to my generous patrons for supporting me right now. If you'd like to check out my Patreon, there's a link for that down in the description. And please follow me on Instagram at metal_complex. Okay, let's go ahead and get a measurement of this monster Spyderco knife. Overall length 9.8 inches overall. Am I getting that right? Yeah, 9.8 inches overall. Blade length, I think it's officially measured at 4.3. That's what I'm getting here. Cutting edge, 4 inches. Goodness gracious. Let's go ahead and do some size comparisons up against the Ontario Rat 1. Rat 1 looking humorously insignificant and overall size. How about up against the Spyderco PM2 and Para 3? Look at this. Oh my gosh. Just massive. Absolutely massive. How about up against the Benchmade Griptilian, or in this case the Ritter Hogue, and its little brother, the Benchmade Mini Griptilian? Yeah. This is huge. This is the biggest Spyderco knife that I've ever handled. That is a folding knife. If they make a larger one, I don't know. I don't know, the matriarch or whatever. I don't know how big that is, but it's the biggest one I've ever handled. Let's go ahead and do a hardware check on this guy. Get out my tools. As per usual, my tools are very inexpensive and very recommendable. You can find them right down in the description. I've got T8 in here right now because I think that's what the pivot is. Take a look. Yeah. T8 pivot. The rest of the body screws are T6. I don't need to check them. Okay, it is what it is. It's either Chicago ends. If you're going to disassemble it, just be careful. T6 is, in my experience, more likely to strip. Not a big deal. Not an enormous amount of hardware for this style of knife, so that's okay. Let's go ahead and do carry profile. Thickness up against the Spyderco Para 3. Look at this. It is thinner by a substantial margin. Yeah, than the Para 3. That's wild. But it is what it is. It's funny because it actually does not feel like it doesn't feel like it's not sturdy, right? A lot of times something that's this thin can feel not sturdy. No, it's because of the steel liners and the G10 scales. It actually feels very solid. So height and length up against the PM2 and Para 3. I mean, honestly, the height is pretty close, if not exactly the same. It's actually taller. It is both taller and longer than the Para 3 and PM2. For those of you who can legally carry this knife, yeah, and it's going to be a big object in the pocket. It's just going to be. I know there's going to be people going, I carry the Cold Steel Espada XL every single day. Well, listen, to the vast majority of people, that's way too big of a knife. It doesn't matter, you know, if it, I mean, it does. Your opinion, of course, does matter, and what you like matters. Carry what you like, but for most people, this is going to be too big. It just is. Now, it's nice and slender, and if your pockets are deep enough and you can make this work, okay, right? It does have a saving grace, and that's going to be the weight, which we're going to talk about here. But yeah, for the vast majority of people, It's probably going to be too big to comfortably carry. But as is the case with all things, you can probably adapt to it if you want to. Look at that blade stock thickness, 130 thousandths. Not a thick blade, not by a long shot. What are we looking at on the inside here? This is a lock back, as you can see. We're looking at a lot of stainless steel that has been milled out and G10. And even though we don't have a super thick blade, it is pretty thin. So I don't know what this weighs. I'm kind of hesitant. I'm going to say 4.5 ounces. That's what I'm going to guess. Hey! 4.5 ounces. All right. That is absolutely not much weight for a knife that has a freaking 4.3-inch blade and 4 inches of cutting edge. Not a big deal. It's still going to be heavy for some people. Like I said, it's the length and just the overall mass, you know, the dimensions of the object that it's going to make it kind of a weird thing to carry. But if you can make it work and it's legal, great. Let's go ahead and move on, talk about the anatomy here. I really think it really bums me out to find out that as of right now, there's not a G10 and steel version of the Police 4 that's available for purchase. At least at the retailers that I looked at. You can get it in FRN and VG10 for $122. Okay. But, I mean, geez, I'd like to at least have seen G10 and S30V like a lot of the other stuff in Spyderco's line, right? Like the military, you can get that, you know, for, it's pretty expensive, right? This guy originally came in at about $200. G10 steel, made in Seki City, Japan, by the way, which I don't, you probably caught that at the beginning. So this is the same place as the Endura and Della and the, what's the other one? Endura and Della and the Delica? Okay. But anyways, yeah, same place. So had they done that, I'm sure it would be pretty expensive, right? But this is the form that I want this knife to take. But you can still pick it up. I'm just hoping that they bring it back. I'd love to see like everything in Spyderco's line offered in K390. S110V that's their steel of choice for doing super versions. They're starting to do K390 and Maximate, which are preferable to me. Obviously, those steels aren't going to be preferable to people who want stainless qualities, right? So I don't know, you know. Maybe they'll continue to offer all three. Who knows? But anyways, I really like the fact that this is G10 steel liners. It feels super sturdy without, I mean, even though it's so thin. The other thing that I love about this knife is that the handle is so gigantic. Here's all the positions that I can comfortably hold in. 1, 2, we're going to call that one 3. Yeah, 3 different positions where I can get a full 4-finger purchase and absolutely lock in. I tried to force one kind of in here. Because of the size of this area, I really only can get 1 finger comfortably in there. So here, and then all the way back here. Yeah, ergonomically, this thing is comfortable. It does have those blocky G10 scales that we see with Spyderco knives, but they've done a good job with chamfering. And the peel ply texturing is, I would say, a little less than medium. It's not very aggressive. I like it. It's very similar to the texturing on my Spyderco Para 3 G10. This is one of those knives that is completely and totally ambidextrous, and it's got a 4-way position pocket clip. So tip up, tip down, left or right-handed carry is the name of the game with this guy. And that's great. Considering it doesn't have a flipper tab, I really don't have much to say about that. You can carry this knife however you want, right? People who are like, tip down's the best, go ahead. People who are like, tip up's the best, go ahead. Whatever. You can carry it however you want, and I don't think there's a, you know, I know people are going to tell me I'm wrong. There's not a best way to carry this. There's just not. You can type me up a paragraph. I'll probably read part of it and then move on with my day because I'm not going to change my mind. But anyways, I really like this. Fit and finish on it's excellent. Very easy to disengage the backlock. In fact, I find the backlock on this guy to be more preferable. Maybe it's because this thing's been used a little bit and kind of broken in, but boy, it's really easy to depress. It's not much, you know, I don't know. It doesn't feel sharp on my thumb. It doesn't. I mean, the edges of it are a little bit sharp, but it's got plenty of surface room to push down on it. It's easy to disengage. Nice and smooth. There's no stickiness, right? It's great. As far as I can tell, this is going to be about the same as other Spyderco knives, and by that I mean it's likely running on phosphor bronze, which is preferable considering the type of knife that it is. And when I say that, I mean a knife that was designed to be used for continuous cutting and really rough kind of, it's called the police for. Obviously, there's other uses for a knife like this, but for me, what I'm going to use it for is probably hard, continuous cutting. And it is absolutely set up for that. The back lock, the spine lock, in combination with phosphor bronze, the steel liners, the G10 scales, and K390 blade steel. Yeah. The tip is not overly durable, but K390 is going to reinforce it a little bit, K390 being a tougher steel considering it has incredible edge retention. Should we talk about K390? Let's go ahead and talk about it. You guys might notice that there's a little bit of a patina forming on this guy. That's because K390 is not stainless. What is K390 compared to? So everybody knows about CPM M4. That's basically... if you take M390 and remove the stainless qualities, I know I'm not going to be very scientific about this because I'm not a professional. Take M390, remove the stainless qualities, but keep the edge retention, and then add massive toughness. That's what CPM M4 is. A lot of people love it, CPM M4, and it's excellent steel. Take CPM M4 and add steroids to it, and that's what K390 is. I believe it's actually a reduction in stainless qualities, but an increase in toughness and a pretty substantial increase in edge retention. And based on the use that I've got out of my stupid little keychain knife in K390, yeah, holy crap, K390 just, I mean, that edge is just fine. There's nothing, there's no need to even, I haven't even needed to touch that stuff up. It's ridiculous. K390 is serious stuff. Absolutely. Higher edge retention even than Rex 45. So still beat out by steels like Maximate, right? Maximate's going to have better edge retention, but not as tough as K390. It's also beat out, of course, by steels like S125V and Rex 121 and maybe a small handful of others, but those are not commonly available steels. So I would say this guy, in today's world of super steels that are commonly available, is second only to Maximate. So there you go. Not stainless, like I said, so if you live in an area where that's a problem, this probably isn't going to be for you. Around here in Kansas, yeah, this is about what's been happening over the last year with my Maximates, actually year and a half now with this guy. So I don't really have a problem with that. It is something that even if you live in an area where it's not a problem, you're going to want to wipe the blade down, make sure you keep moisture off of it, or you're going to have more of a problem. Opening hole on this guy, plenty of access to it. It's very easy. I mean, it's just ridiculously easy to open up because of the handle. You know, you've got so much room to put your hands where you want on this guy. Just open it up, right? Not going to be a knife that you're going to be doing. I mean, I probably could get this to the point, loosen it up and lube it up and get to this point where I could flick it, right? I don't really care to do that with this knife. It's just get it open, right? Then when I'm ready to close it, keep your index finger up here so that it lands in the choil. That way the blade doesn't come down on your finger, and then reposition and close it. This is not quite as easy to manipulate as something like a Spyderco knife with a compression lock, right? It's a little bit smoother. Push the compression lock and it closes, right? A little bit easier, but okay, it's one extra step. Not that big of a deal. Opening hole, a little bit sharp on the inside. That's generally the case with satin finished Spyderco knives. Spine, a little bit sharp up here. Again, same thing. It's the case with satin finished Spyderco knives. The blade is very similar to other Spyderco knives that have that sort of pelican blade, right? The PM2, the Para 3, the military, what else? Other ones. Yeah, in this case, we have a stupid amount of cutting belly, right? Just about filleted my finger. This is very sharp. Fully flat ground blade. Yeah, this is a blade where you can, if you're cutting dense material, right? If you're having to, for whatever reason, process extremely thick cardboard or styrofoam, stuff like that, or if you're, I don't know, if you're chopping a wide, piece of fruit or something. I'm sure there's a bunch of different things. Yeah, you can make use of this blade, and there's a lot of it, and it's K390, so it's just going to keep going. Tip, not durable. It does kind of drop just a bit, like other knives in this category from Saiki City, Japan. I think that's nice. Getting into, just digging the tip into a package right at the seams where it's taped over. It's just made ever so slightly easier by something like that. And I'm sure there's a wide variety of other things that that tip is applicable for. But there you go. Not durable, not something you want to jam into a crevice and start prying around. That's generally the case. But K390 is really tough stuff. Really tough stuff. I think I remember reading something about this, K390 just making the geometry of the blade substantially tougher and more resilient, right? Even though it's so thin. I don't know. Be careful with your knives. I love that it's got a forward choil. I love being able to choke up on my knives and get right behind the edge. You can do that safely, thanks to how Spyderco likes to do these. What Spyderco does not like to do is add a sharpening choil. So, okay, whatever. That's gonna start to look funky over time. That's fine. Spine back here, everything looks good. All this area all meets up, right? Where the tang of the blade meets the back lock looks great to me. I don't have an issue with that whatsoever. All of this just looks really nice. The pocket clip, I would say, normally I would say, it's funny to me that this doesn't have a lanyard hole, but it still uses the Spyderco, the pocket clip that has the hole in it. Right. In any case, normally I'd be like, oh boy, it kind of carries shallow because look how much is sticking out of your pocket. Well, look how much of the rest of the knife there is. I mean, if we're considering how long the knife is, the percentage of the knife that's sticking up is really not that much. I would call this medium carry. I mean, there's so much of the knife in your pocket, doesn't matter. And this is a 3-hole Spyderco knife. So if you need to, where's my Delica? This pocket clip. It works for the Delica. This deep carry MSG clip will probably also fit the Police 4. So you're going to get more of like this, So that's fine if you want to do something like that. Rest of the knife on this side is much the same as the front because this is a lock back and we have, symmetry. It's mirrored, between the two sides. This, I just realized this. I never took notice. This is a Sal Glesser design. That's what that insignia is right there. So that's cool. Designed by the man himself. Wow, this is an excellent knife. Wow, this is good. Very capable, very purpose-built, purpose-designed. I love this. Man, I wish that this still existed in this form. I would very much like to have a G10 and steel K390 Police 4 available today. Normally I don't like lockbacks and I don't normally like knives of this size, but this just feels like such a it's such a serious knife, right? It's not trying to go ultra tactical, ultra aggressive. No, it's a very specifically built tool. I mean, all the lines are intentional, right? It's got Spyderco's very intentional lines. It's just longer, and it's got the lockback, and it's K390. This is super cool. I think the design of the Police 4 is one that I can absolutely recommend. I'm just not super excited about VG10 and FRN or Grivery or whatever that is, injection mold plastic, for 122 bucks. No, I'd rather pay more money and have you give me a more serious steel. And, if you have to go FRN or Grivery, okay, at least make this in, the teal. And I know they've got is the Police 4 with the teal and the K390 coming out, or is that the military? I can't remember. I think it's the Police 4. I'd love to see it in G10. I would, because it really doesn't weigh that much, right? But either way, I think the design of the Police 4 is extremely recommendable. If you like larger knives or you need a larger knife day to day, yeah, I like this a lot. I really do. I just really like K390. I have such a fascination with that steel. It's really great stuff. If you can find this knife on the secondary market, should you pay more than what they asked originally, which is around $200? No, don't do that. There's lots of $200 gets you a pretty serious knife nowadays, and honestly, just around the $150 mark through Spyderco, you can get arguably just as good of a knife. So, unless, I guess, serious collectors are going to do what they're going to do, but I'd really like to see this come back. I think this is cool. I don't know. I mean, there's so many knives in Spyderco's line that are somewhat similar. This is just a longer variant of some other things. It's in this exact form, G10, K390, it just makes it that much more interesting to me. So, I don't know. Very cool. You can pick this up for a reasonable price somewhere and recommend it. I'll still recommend the lightweight version in VG10 because the design is that good. So you can check those out down in the description, and you can check out, like I said, all of Spyderco's available knives right now, also down in the description. So have a look, because Spyderco knives are very, very good. Thanks again to Isaac for donating this and sending it for review. That's very kind of you. Please make sure to follow me on Instagram at metal_complex. Guys, if you enjoyed this video, please leave a like. If you'd like to check out my other content, I do, of course, have lots of videos of knives that are either expensive or inexpensive that I do or don't like. So check those out, and if you enjoy all my content, go ahead and click on that Metal Complex logo right there and subscribe, because there's definitely more coming. Thanks again for watching, everybody, and have a great day.